All right, so what I want to go over is now still involving your trig functions of, well, I'm going to write the ratios like we normally do. SOH CAH TOA, which refers to sine or sin on your calculator, cosine or cos, and we have tangent. And in this video, I want to specifically refer to now how we deal with finding missing angles. And again, you're using these trig functions when you are dealing with wow, that is not a triangle. Let's just write right triangles. And so to start with an example, you may have watched the previous video going over how to find the missing sides. So I'll go through a similar process, but also explain the difference. And so we'll start with what we normally are given, which is a right triangle. Depending if it's a word problem or not, you'll be given where the right angle is. You may also should be given maybe JK, we're looking for missing angles. So let's say that this leg here has a value of 12. The one over here has a value of 10. But normally, right, we've seen missing sides. We now have a missing angle. This may be labeled as a question mark, but most commonly you will see this symbol here that is called theta. It is a Greek symbol. It's just traditionally used to represent an angle. You could even do this little degree right there, to represent an angle that we do not know yet. And so what is the same about how you approach these problems is to firstly label your hypotenuse, your opposite, and your adjacent on all of your legs. And so remember, it is nice to always first label your hypotenuse, which is across from your right angle. Then pay attention to the given theta or angle you're looking for, looking across, aka looking to the opposite, labeling that as opposite, and then what remains is your adjacent. And so in this situation, we have done the labeling, and as you've seen before, based off what you are given, that is how you choose which trig function you'll use. And so I'm not given information about the hypotenuse, ignoring anything that has an h in it. And so when you look at these ratios, when we have O, we have A, that is telling me that I need to focus on tangent. And so let me go ahead and just rewrite TOA, right? And we know that function normally refers to tan or tangent on our calculator. And in the past, when we find a missing side, there's a lot of value right here with the ratio, which is opposite over adjacent. But when you're finding a missing angle, you are now going to use a different, actually, you're going to add an extra button, an extra step on your calculator. You're no longer just going to press that tangent button, but what you will do, like I could show you first actually, is I'll take you over to a calculator. Oh, this direction. So we normally use a TI-30XS. Here we go. Normally you might be thinking, cool, I'm going to use tangent and then I'm going to set up my ratio the same. But what's different is you have to use the inverse. And so the inverse would be actually hitting second first, then hitting the trig function you're using. In our situation, that is tangent. And you'll see it pop up like this. It looks like tangent to the negative first with the open parentheses. And so going back to our notes here, I'll kind of write what that looks like, right? It looks like tangent, -1, and an open parentheses. And now you might be wondering what goes in here. all you have to plug in is the ratio you're using according to the trig function you use, which is opposite over adjacent. In our case, that is 12 over 10. So that may look like 12 divided by 10 in there. That may just look like 12 over 10. Close that parentheses up, and then you just hit enter. There is no algebra steps you have to take here. This is like a quick shortcut using your calculator. And so I'm going to check that on my own calculator. I'm hitting second, tangent, typing in 12 divided by 10, closing up that parentheses, and also show you on this calculator as well. So we said 12 divided by 10, close that up, hit enter, and that is your given degrees. So we have 50.19442891. Depending on the directions, most commonly you'll be asked around to the 10th place, but we're going to keep it in the thousands just to keep some accuracy there. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to say that theta, right? Theta, which I did not know, is 50.194. And don't forget your little degrees. And that's it for that problem. Just to go over it one more time, maybe with a different function, different trig function, we can jump over to our classwork here on page 14. We are given a lot of right triangles that have missing angles. And so where is a nice one here? Why don't we look at this one down here? So same process. Number one, label. Looking across, that is my hypotenuse. Identifying my degree, looking across, that is going to be easily my opposite, and then that leaves this leg as my adjacent. Asking myself, is there info on hypotenuse? No, not really, so gonna have to ignore you. Got the opposite, got the adjacent. Looks like we're using inverse tangent again, so that's okay. Gonna use this one, not this one, nor this one. And we're going to set that up. So if I go to my calculator, right, looking for angles, meaning I'm going to hit second on my calculator, use the same ratio of opposite over adjacent. So it's going to look like tangent -1, and your opposite in this case is 20, your adjacent is 22, and then we hit enter. I'll show you same thing on the calculator. Clear this out. Second tangent, already forgot the numbers. 2022, cool. Whoa. 20 divided by 22, close that up. Looks like we have, put it on mine as well, 42.27368901. Same idea, I'm going to keep it in the thousands. So in this case, right, they didn't name it theta, they called it y degrees, so I'll go ahead and go with that. It's going to be 42.274, I rounded that up because of that value of 6 next to it. And that's it. Follow the same process. You know, if you're in a different situation where you might end up using, for example, like this example here, we're going to end up using the hypotenuse and the adjacent, right? It's going to look similar, right? Except it'll look something like this. But remembering to hit that second button first and paying attention to the ratio, right? Adjacent over hypotenuse, just doing a quick one here. So that would be 15 over 25. And then hitting enter, right? As long as you are seeing this type of value with the -1 up there, then you know you're in the right direction when you're looking for a missing